Let's say you win, but the House Republicans win again, also a likely possibility. How is that any different from what we have now? Why wouldn't a voter look at that and say, that's a recipe for stalemate? How would you do anything differently?
Well, there are a couple of things that I think change. Number one, the American people will have voted. They will have cast a decisive view on how we should move the country forward, and I would hope that the Republican Party, after a fulsome debate, would say to itself, we need to listen to the American people. I think what is also true is that because of the mechanisms that have been set up, agreed to by Republicans, that have already cut $1 trillion worth of spending out of the federal deficit, but now we've got to find an additional trillion and $1.2 trillion, I guess, before the end of the year, means that the Republicans will have to make a very concrete decision about whether they're willing to cooperate on a balanced package. If they don't, then I'm going to have to look at how we can work around Congress to make sure the middle-class families are protected, but that we're still doing meeting our responsibilities when it comes to deficit reduction and investing in the future.
But I mean, I could certainly see Republicans, led by Speaker Boehner, saying the same thing. The American people voted. We're back in power too. They're not going to change their position on taxes, on climate change, on immigration. So, I mean, if I could just push a little further on that, how do you see that dynamic changing?
Well, look, there are some proposals that they've put forward that we're not going to compromise on because I believe it'd be bad for the country and bad for middle-class families. I don't think it would be a good idea to pursue a approach that voucherizes Medicare and raises taxes on middle-class families to give wealthy individuals a tax break. So if that's the mandate that Republicans receive, then there's still going to be some serious arguments here in Washington. But what I'm offering the American people is a balanced approach that the majority agree with, including a lot of Republicans. For me to be able to say to the Republicans, the election's over, you no longer need to be focused on trying to beat me. What you need to be focused on, and what we should have been focused on from the start, is how do we advance the American economy. I'm prepared to make a whole range of compromises, some of which I get criticized from the Democratic Party on, in order to make progress, but we're going to need compromise on your side as well. And the days of viewing compromise as a dirty word need to be over because the American people are tired of it. That's, I think, a message that will resonate not with every Republican, but I think with a lot of fair-minded Republican legislators who, probably feel somewhat discouraged about having served in one of the least productive Congresses in American history. And I hear, not in public but in private, that many of them would like to go ahead and get some stuff done because they recognize that our children, our grandchildren, have a stake in us being able to get this work done.